Hello everyone, this is Shahul, founder and CEO of MemoNeet. So MemoNeet is the only line-by-line NCERT app, which has 15,000 plus questions. It is the first type of app ever built in the history of NEET, and it's the best app ever. So without wasting much time, let's get into the topic. Common mistakes to avoid in NEET 2022. If you are a NEET 2022 or a 2023 aspirant, so we as students usually they limit themselves to what they study in the books, the knowledge of academics, right? Always thinking out of the box is never practiced. But what do you think? Studying NCRT, there are bunch of when you take the NCRT book, there are definitions, there are terminologies, there are lot of numbers, numericals, and always you don't elaborate the knowledge on those terms. Like usually you just be like, okay, so this is a fact and I just have to trust it, right? You're more likely to lose marks even if you've studied and revised the definition 1,000 times. Like even if you keep learning the same thing again and again, it's not going to help you. But while if you want to be a doctor, really you literally have to scan every piece and see, once the NEET exam is over, you get into a medical college and you're going to be a doctor, right? So you have to start thinking like a doctor while you prepare for NEET itself, right? You have to get into the details, right? And we often encounter lagging in topics, even making a lot of practice and revision. You might have made notes, you could have done charts, tables, and everything, but still you fail to understand the intensity or understand the question asked most of the time. So in NEET 2021, say for example, there was a question. The question was the adenosine deaminase deficiency results in. Okay, this was a question. So there were four options: A, Parkinson's disease; B, digestive disorder; C, Addison's disorder; D, dysfunction of the immune system. Okay, undoubtedly, you would have marked option D as the correct one. Right? Option D was dysfunction of the immune system. Okay, but the first clinical gene therapy, these are the exact lines in the NCRT which I'm reading. The clinical gene therapy, the first clinical gene therapy was given in 1990 to a 4-year-old girl with adenosine deaminase ADA deficiency. This enzyme is crucial for the immune system to function. The disorder is caused due to so and so and so and so. So if you have read this line, obviously it shows that ADA, adenosine deaminase, is for immune system, like very crucial for immune system to function, and the deficiency in adenosine deaminase will result in dysfunction of the immune system. Though the NCRT textbook has not provided a direct line in its content, going right to the answer without wasting any time would be easy only if you haven't just memorized the line but outreached the topic, right? Thinking beyond it and exploring the advancement out of it, right? So there's a big difference in knowing the name, definition of something, and knowing something. As truly said, there was an American physicist called as Richard Feynman. He once said they had wasted all their time memorizing stuff like that when it could be looked up in 15 minutes. So, in a detailed study of biology, always remember to correlate theoretical concept with clinical aspects of health, right? So in this case, there were no place where it said adenosine deaminase deficiency will cause dysfunction of the immune system, but what is mentioned here is this enzyme is crucial for the immune system to function. So that that in fact, it's so clear that if there is a deficiency, then there is a dysfunction of immune system, right? It's very obvious. So you, like, if you have just read it and memorized these lines, there's no way that you could answer it. But have you understood the context, right? Like how you understand or know something will define how you answer this question. But you can't tell that this question is out of NCERT, like definitely, right? So in a detail, during this pandemic, like COVID-19, you see that in atmosphere there are supplements or diets, and there's COVID-19. So zinc, vitamin C are highly preferred and prescribed. For sure, you may be aware that zinc and vitamin C provides to your body. They are essential micronutrients required in trace amounts to help your body function. right? So that's the reason why, like, during this time almost all the doctors, they ask you to have your diets rich with zinc and vitamin C, right? So what's the relation in counteracting the COVID-19? Like, why are vitamin C and zinc prescribed? Like, have we ever think about this? Like, so you may know that zinc is a mineral required for body function, and vitamin C is entirely an essential micronutrient required for a diet to deter scurvy. Like, all of us would have learned vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy, like we would have been learning it from school. But if we collect complete detail about what's the role of the function, vitamin C and zinc also operate as antioxidants. So what are antioxidants? Antioxidants are substances that protect the tissue from damage of, like, oxygen species, parallelly inhibits like inflammatory reaction, right? So thereby showing anti-inflammatory properties. So antioxidants are in turn anti-inflammatory as well. So any aerobic or oxygen species that can cause inflammatory reactions in our tissues could be prevented when our body is rich in antioxidants, right? In this way it influences cell mediated immunity, right? Like, if it prevents us from an anti-inflammatory, it acts as anti-inflammatory substance, and it prevents us from inflammatory reaction. So it creates an immunity, so thus boosts immune response against viruses as well. So strong immunity is a collective coherence of many factors. It's like, you shouldn't think that it's only zinc and vitamin C or vitamin D, but it's also a collective responsibility of many other substances as well that hinders a response of immune function, like that causes the immune function. But you wouldn't directly find these concepts in books, like, in obviously, right? But research, correlation, and comprehension, be curious. Like, if you read a line in NCRT, like, feel free to go and Google about it, to read like two or three lines more and understand. I'm not asking you to get out of the context and like, uh, deviate from the topic, but just be curious, right? So I'm going to tell 5 ways that you can add value in your NEET exam preparation, okay, for 2022. Have hawkeyes, like, don't miss even a single detail from the book. Just like how you trip the pen and fingers, focus on details and terminology, right? Like, always focus on details and terminology. Research the terms and gather additional definitions of them in simpler and scientific form. Correlate the information and capture the related information together in a row. Like, say for example, you were studying about ADA, right? So when you're studying about ADA, like, just correlate the information, like what you have read about ADA so far in the whole NCRT. It could come here and there in a few chapters, but correlate it and capture it together in a note. It might not be together in the NCRT, but you can always capture it and keep it together in a note. And comprehend the subtopics and their related diagrams, right? Like, even if you have a diagram, but in that diagram there might not be much of explanation about the diagram in the NCRT, but you can always understand the diagram and write it on your own words, like, and then keep it separate, so that when you have to revise the diagram, you don't just look at the diagram, but you also revise the related text of the diagram as well, right? And then, last thing but not the least, keep focus and grasp more information. Discussing the topics help you turn them into an everlasting memory. Like, discuss it with people. Like, if suppose if you read something about ADA, make it interesting. Like, go and talk to someone. Hey, you know that, like, if you don't have ADA in your body, like, it's gonna cause immunity problems. Like, talk about it. It's our own body that we're studying about, right? So we shouldn't be so ashamed or so demotivated to discuss about it. And NCRT, all of us know it's the function of the NEET exam, like foundation. So out of NCRT, like, almost 5 to 8% every year is asked outside of NCRT. But like, you can't say that it is outside of NCRT. It could be something that is just an interpretation, just an exaggeration of NCRT always, right? So always look for advanced information about the topics that you read in NCRT. And you're gonna be a doctor, so think like a doctor when you prepare to be a doctor, because that will make you deserve your goal more than you do. Okay, thank you. You guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.